Finally got around to picking those large onions that were growing out there. This year I tried the Alyssa Craig onion, and I started them early from seeds way back in February, and you can see the tops are all bent over now and turning brown, so time to harvest them. And look at the size of these bad boys. They are just biggest onions I've ever grown. I've never really had luck with onions. I've always gone for the cooking type onions that are storage onions, and these are actually like a big sweet Spanish type onion. So whole different type onion, but oh my god, I just can't believe the size of them. This is only about a 42-inch diameter round bed that they're in, to raised bed, and they really did wonderful. Now, we've been in a drought all summer long pretty much, so I've been putting a couple gallons of water on this bed every night just to keep them growing. So I think that the amount of water that I put into it really did help. Now, they said these things are supposed to grow over 2 pounds, so we will see in a little while. At the end of this, I'll weigh some of them, just show you exactly how big they got and how heavy they got. So anyhow, this morning I went out and I started picking these onions, and I'll show you how I lay them out and cure them in a little while. And at the same time, I've had some questions about, how do I keep my shallots and garlic all winter long? So I'll give you a couple tips that I do on that to help make it last longer in the root cellar. So you can see this one basket's definitely not going to be enough. It's probably close to 50 pounds of onions here, maybe even more than that when they're all dried up. So we've actually been eating these for quite a while too. We've been trying to thin them out some because they were all planted way too close together, as you can see. But they still did really good, and they are a really nice taste and sweet onion. Now, some of these this year I'm actually planning on trying to freeze onions. I've never done that before, but from what I understand, you can just slice them up and flash freeze them, then put them in bags, and they should stay good for like soups and casseroles and things like that. So we will see, but I'm going to make you sit here and watch me pull each and every one of these bad boys out. And I will tell you, I am really tired of watering this year. It's like every night I've got to be out here. It's just been so hot, so dry, and so windy. A couple days ago, we were supposed to get a big storm. Again, it just broke up a couple miles to the west of us and went around us and formed on the east of us. We got like about 5 minutes of drizzle, and that was it. So we're really in dry conditions right now. About the only thing that's good for is the lawn. It saves me a lot of money on diesel fuel, so I don't have to be cutting it all the time. But that's about it. So we got two baskets full there. Now let's get out the big bin here. We're running out of room. Whoa! Didn't quite expect this volume of onions. Now you can see they're all really beautiful onions. Really nice, firm onions. And as I said before, once those tops start bending over and turning brown, it's time to pick them. They're just not going to get any bigger. Look at that one, the giant. Yeah, I don't know if you could really see it, but those pepper plants behind there, those are the Edgevarskis, and I've had a couple of big branches break off of them just due to the high winds that we've been getting. For some reason, when the storms approach, you get really good winds before them, and then the storms break up and go around you, and that's it. Just leaves plants bent over and down. And I am also getting ready to pull those eggplants that are behind me right there, just because the flea beetles have actually done them in. Nothing else is coming out of them. And I'm just tired of watering them, trying to save them. So here we are. We got, just about everything out now. And there are some weeds that grew between them, but they were so close together it was hard to even see the weeds till they were all out. So that's it. 3 bins of onions from a little 42-inch diameter raised bed. So let's take these things up and start drying them. I'll show you what I do. Glad I borrowed my wife's little golf cart there to bring these things up, because it would have been a job carrying 3 of them up. Everything's loaded up. There's a quick look at them, just amazing. And I'm bringing them up to the house, and on our front porch I put some cardboard out on the table there, as I do for all my onions and garlic and shallots and stuff. And all I'm going to do is just lay them out on this table for a couple of days to start curing. I want them to dry off good. And you leave the stems on now because it helps to suck the moisture right out of the middle of them so that they don't rot from the middle out. So I'm just wiping off, loose dirt on them, and I thought I'd weigh some. So there's 1 pound, 12.5 ounces. 1 pound, 14.6 ounces. Not quite 2 pounds, and another 9.9 ounce ones. And those are some of the big ones. So I did not get any 2-pounders. What a bummer. I thought I was going to be able to say I grew a 2-pounder. And another 1 pound, 12.9 ounces. So there they are. They're going to sit out here for a couple days and just start to harden off a little bit. And then in the meantime, I'm going to go in my garage. These are those shallots that I picked probably about 2 weeks ago. And I left them on the table for a while, and I tied them in bunches and just hung them in my garage to dry. You can see there's some lavender there too. And they're pretty well dry. You can see the stems are real nice and crispy, and most of the moisture is out of them. And this is the only way I am able to get shallots to stay till springtime, is you have to get as much moisture out as you can. So first I, dry them in the sun for a while, then I'll hang them in a darker spot like the garage. And now I'm going to go back and I'm just going to remove those stems. And you want to make sure it's nice and dry on the middle there, nothing comes oozing out or anything. If it does, they'll only store for a couple months and they'll all rot. So I'm just going to go through and trim them all up here. And there's one with a little bit of green in it. You can see that needs a little more drying. So I'm going to leave this basket to dry a little bit more and just, move them around every day until they all look nice and brown. It is kind of a tedious job to, do this, but, it's the only way I found that I can store them till spring. And then what's left over in the springtime, I'll usually just plant in the garden for the next year's batch. I think I bought my first shallot seeds 15 years ago. Then every once in a while you find one that's kind of soft, just not drying right. You can see, throw that away. It's just not worth keeping. And you also find some that are like two stuck together under one skin. Pull them apart and let the air get in there and dry them, because they will definitely store longer that way. And in storage you want to go through every once in a while and look for a bad one, because one bad shallot will ruin them all. Now let's go down to root cellar, and this is my measly little harvest of garlic I got this year. It's been hanging there for about a month now, drying, doing the final drying. You can see the root cellar is getting down. We got to start canning stuff, but I'm going to bring that up now. And here's last year's garlic. Last year we had a tremendous harvest that was like 4 times what we normally get, and this was actually left over from it. So it's getting old now, and I'm just going to dump that in the compost pile to use for fertilizer. And you can see it's still usable, but it just doesn't have the same flavor or anything, and it's actually starting to grow there. So it's a little bit too early to plant, but garlic does store for a year really well. So as long as you get it good and dry and keep it in a cool, dark place. So same thing, I'm just going to get the rest of the dirt off and leave about 1 inch of the stem on there. Now if you know how to braid, you could actually braid these together and just hang them with the stem still on at this point, but I just trim them off and throw them in a basket and they'll store in the root cellar. I'll plant some of these in the fall for next year's batch. So basically the shallots and the garlic you only buy once, and you just replant every year. So you don't have to worry about it. Pick good, nice ones in the beginning. And that's all the garlic I got this year, but it should make it. We'll scrimp on it, and I got about 20 pounds of shallots. And now these onions still have to dry. So it turned out being a terrible year for garlic, but a really great year for onions and shallots. Now we did pick up this little sunshade at Costco a couple months back to shade our table, like if we're going to sit out there at night because it's facing the west. But it also works good to keep the direct sun off the onions and bulbs that I'm drying out there. So I'll just pull that down a little bit, and that way the afternoon sun doesn't bake them, and they still get good airflow. So that's a real nice thing for if you got a directly west-facing window. Now our deer is back. I got some more shots here. You can see she's been going in and out of the garden, and actually been enjoying the strawberry plants and the elderberries. Now my granddaughter came over and we named her Miss Burger Jerky Sausage, because that's what she's going to wind up being. She's getting us so mad. But you can see she's been out there quite a bit, all walking right through the strawberry bed. Never walk in your bowl. And I did have it all open. And later on I did put some monofilament line between those posts. And she was smart enough to come in the other way from the other side. So that didn't really help. But she does know it's there now, and she does jump it. And I do have one final thing I'm trying that seems to be working, but we'll find out in another couple nights. I'll keep an eye on it. But, critters like this, it's kind of hard to do anything with if you don't put up a tall fence or electric fence or something like that. Anyhow, it's, it's just damaging the strawberries, which really doesn't bother me. And, oh yeah, here comes the boss down early one morning, right after she left. So I just wanted to show you just how well these Alyssa Craig onions did. They were just amazing, and they just are such a nice, sweet onion, if that's what you like. They grew well in a 42-inch bed. I got about 50 pounds of them, it looks like, maybe even more. I'll do a final weighing once they're trimmed up, but you can just see how well they did. And again, they'll be sitting here. I'll be drying them, and then I'll hang them and dry them a little more, and then I'll put them into storage, just like the shallots and the garlic. And it's the only way you can keep them, for basically a year. So I just thought I'd share this with you and, let you see what's going on with the garden and how I store things. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.